recording. But yeah. Anyway, before we went live here, we were just talking about we were just talking about things, and I was talking about, I don't really support the ACA, but the meager amount of care that I do use, it's covered now, and it's incredibly helpful. And if it weren't for the situation of getting a really nasty nerve injury, I'd have never gone in for it. And it actually is for people like me who have a debilitating injury that can't do anything about it and wouldn't otherwise be able to do anything about it. And all I'm getting is like a couple of chiropractic visits a year.
I gotta tell you, the plan I have through the marketplace, as it were.
Marketplace.
Which by the way, I didn't get the federal subsidy because I'm too poor for that. As by the by. So the whole thing where they're talking about people having all their healthcare paid for by the subsidy, it's like, fuck you guys. You guys said I'm not earning enough money to be able to hit the minimum to be able to get a subsidy in the first place. So I have to pay, a little over $500,000 out of pocket every month. And then, of course, mine's going to go up to, $750,000 per month next year. That's the estimate, mind you. We'll see what they do. That'll be interesting.
My mom told me
interesting
story about a guy that she met just recently in the area who was on one of the ACA plans, and because of some recent changes, he's going to go from I think it was $600 a month to like $3,000. It's crazy.
Holy fuck!
And that's not the only story out there. I mean, and she was like, because of Donald Trump, Well, no, actually, it's because the whole system's fucked, and
it's because of Barry. And this one's a bozo thing. They're never going to be able to take that off of his name. That fucking stink is stuck.
Well, that's the thing. I had to tell her. It's like, I know it's really sad that the situation is this far gone. That terrible things are happening to people that don't deserve it. It's really, really unfortunate, but that's where we are.
Consequence everyone fucking said would happen, and somehow they still thought we needed to pass, even though we had to pass it in order to see what's in it.
Yeah, and
I wish that all of the ills that lady brought upon the country are visited upon her and none of her kin.
Yeah, that's deserve it.
As ugly and evil as her daughter is, I hope she doesn't have to deal with the fucking ACA marketplace. Though, not that she ever would.
No, not really. Not really. Well, no, I seriously doubt it. I don't think that she would ever find.
That's never going to happen
like that. But
she's going to get into Congress. She's going to get a congressional health care package, which is fucking for life.
Oh, yeah.
I don't get that either.
Yeah, it's funny. But you know what else is funny? How many accounts are from India on X? So the new feature just dropped with account information, and I'll have you know, all you need to do, you can hop over to mine and see the date joined. May 2014, account based in the United States. Created there as well, just so you know. And I've been verified for
have you checked out mine?
The past 2 years. Let me see here. I'm based in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, keep going.
So you're next door to the Homeland Security, right?
So about that, I want you to look closely at that picture. Hold on. Let me just make sure this is quite clear so I can help you navigate this like the retard who's been in my replies getting blasted.
And I mean, honestly, that whole thing, if it is real, it's
a hilarious meme.
It's Israel. But anyway.
But no, let me just help you out here. I have a couple helpful notes on the image that will point you to exactly why it's bullshit.
Well, but just a real quick on that. Even if it is real, that is so funny to say it that way.
I know, you're going to keep giggling. Keep going.
I can't help it. That is funny, though.
Well, no, it's like whenever we talk about a stand-up situation,
Right. But
everyone rises to the occasion.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So anyway, it's like a Five Eyes thing. So it is not the most unfeasible of things that somebody actually was literally.
So here's the thing. Now they are showing location. They were not previously. Nikita Beer pointed out that it was a security issue to not show the location of government peoples. So obviously
that's actually a
going to
very
say, well,
reasonable
why would you?
argument too.
Well, yeah, you see, and here's the thing: is when people bring it up, it's like, well, why does Trump have a chunk of his ear missing? Maybe that's why. Because they said they were concerned about terrorists, doing stupid shit. It's like, well, that makes sense. But I want to point something out. I want to point a couple things out to you on the image that was passed around. I marked it so that you can see where there's issues. One, this is from a person who was not verified, let alone verified as a government representative. So there's no gray check mark. There's no check mark at all whatsoever. Also, probably with the exception of Vatican City, I can't think of any other cities that are also counted as nations. 0 accounts on X are going to show you a city in the location where it's based in, where they joined from, where they're connected by. It's just not a thing because they all work by country or region. There's no city. So Tel Aviv is not a nation on its own. It's a city within Israel. So while this is a hilarious meme, it's also unfortunately only that. Anybody who's out there conspiracy-minded, not real. Sorry. You're going to have to look elsewhere.
But
just is what it is.
Yeah, that's just kind of a little something. And the argument...
and also, by the way, there's a video where they go to it. All you have to do to make that happen is record it in reverse. And then reverse the video, and there you have. You discovered the thing you edited in HTML. It's that simple.
But again, there is. Well.
Also, the fact that they said the fact that Nikita Beer also said that they haven't recorded any IP address besides the United States should also.
Yeah,
tell you
there's been a couple in there that legitimately were a little weird. Like
now, the one thing they also said that the reason why they stopped it initially. Well, that's what I'm getting to. The reason they stopped it initially was because some of them, for the date joined location, because they based that on the IP address of where you joined. The IP address ranges, the allocation of them based on country, has not been a constant static thing over time. It has actually changed over time. And it changes a lot more frequently than people might think. And it's relatively minor changes for the most part. But they do have small, like, territorial changes that occur and dynamic allocations that occur, even at the scale of a country, which make it so that they have to track that over time. It's kind of like saying, okay, well, what time and date was it back at some time in the past? Say, before daylight savings time was a thing, or calendar changes occur, the specific delineations of date lines occur, or change, so like where time zones are. These are all things that are not static. They are just as static as they feel in our day-to-day life. They do change relatively frequently.
Oh, you know what else?
Frequently enough that they have to be tracked over time.
Well, and something else truly that changes frequently and needs to be tracked over time. Directly related, as a matter of fact. OBS, mm-hmm. What? Oh, that's weird.
Uh-oh. Well,
are we good? I think we're good. Are we good?
I've been waiting for you to show back up.
Okay, well,
I'm still getting the spinning wheel here.
What in the hell is going on?
Well, obviously you're getting it recorded on your end. That's good. So the podcast will be fine.
All right. So what we'll do is just completely stop the stream.
There. Oh, hold on. Okay.
We'll
go ahead and refresh
it. There. And for everybody listening, sometimes we run into small issues that need to be resolved on the fly.
Although I'll say this is probably only like the second time that I've noticed us having like a network issue like this.
Yeah, it's actually quite infrequent.
From
Honestly, it's really good about that sort of thing. There we go.
I only recall the previous one, and then like from a week or two ago, and then this one.
Yeah, well, in
any event, I see the screen. It's come back.
Funny enough, this is actually related to what I was talking about anyway. Speaking of connectivity issues, so VPN sales are at an all-time high in India. for some reason.
Well, see, actually, it's not just there; it's also in the UK.
Well, different reasons.
So
but
recall
yes.
the whole stop online or whatever the fuck recall the gigantic surveillance issue over there. So it's just funny to me because VPN usage, especially in relation to the X about page, the profile about pages, it's being extra given extra scrutiny. It's like they're quite valid reasons, and especially after the push for everyone to get onto a VPN after the whole UK thing, with the coming EU sweep of bullshit. It was just one of those. It wasn't befuddling. Like it's very obvious why people have been scrutinizing VPN usage more, but the reactionary nature of it clearly flooded past people's rational cognitive faculties. So
oh yeah, no, people are.
There's been a little bit of pushback on that to get people oriented in the right direction again. Well, it's nuts because there's so many different people from so many different accounts, I should say, not people. So many different accounts that were previously either suspect or even not suspect, that were just loud and prominent, big followings, verified, had and clearly were heavily monetized and pushed to that end. I mean, it's funny because people were saying that this whole thing is going to screw with X's bottom line. It's gonna really fuck up their stock values, so the investment into X and the expectations for their future performance. And I say, well, no, it's actually going to save them a fuck ton of money because people are no longer going to be giving these different individuals ad share revenue. They're not going to be clicking on their posts. They're not going to be looking at their posts. People are blocking a lot of and it's not that the accounts from India. That part's being pushed now also by the same accounts, mind you, that are the problem. That feature of this whole thing is being pushed as an issue of racial bias. The cries of racism, obviously, that are going to be coming out from the people. They cry out as they strike at you, so to speak.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's the fact that they lied and pretended they're Americans. A lot of them, or hell, the big one over in Japan right now.
There's been a lot of Nigerians too.
Oh no, I'm getting to that part. But like, also the biggest one in Japan is a guy who pretended to be Japanese who was South Korean.
That's
like
funny.
That's a big one.
I mean,
and
that's funny
it's a
on
person
so
that was
many
pushing.
levels.
There's a person pushing the 4Bs level of feminism. Like it's. I mean, you say, oh, they're South Korean. Well, it fucking makes sense now. If they're a South Korean feminist, that it makes perfect sense. Well, it was a suspected thing, and it's a thing now. And so you have a bunch of these people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and you said Nigeria. There's Nigeria, Kenya. The Malaysian menace himself got found out for being over in the UAE, and that dipshit Jackson Hinkle being in Burkina Faso. So it's amazing spread of and then of course if you go that's largely been on right-handed grifters or right-side grifters, if you will. On the other hand, you have a lot of people from like Mexico and
a lot of Canadians that are from America,
and Europe, and
oddly.
Mexico, Canada, and the EU, many EU countries, typically Western Bloc countries.
Many of them live in New York City and Los Angeles, interestingly.
Yeah, it's right, exactly.
Living there.
And then also the many Native Americans who turned out to be from India. All the land back people were fucking Indians.
Yeah,
it's
come on, man.
It's glorious.
You got no right to my feather. You've already got your own dot. Come on.
Exactly. So it's really funny. It's infuriating in retrospect because a lot of the dumb shit that's been spread and as a lot of dumb divisive shit that's been spread has largely been at the behest of a lot of these foreign interests. Now, I could have told you that a lot of this stuff was foreign interest actions, and it turns out that a certain aspect of these things, I was 100% right, 100% correct on what was going on, particularly Saudi Arabian and Egyptian interests interfering with a lot of right-wing activities recent. But again, like in the more it wasn't just in the extrema; it was in the mainstream, and it was over many different. And you can see why. It's our politics have global consequence, and so a lot of these foreign nationals want to have their hand in the pie, especially if they can grift on it and get paid. And it's also been really interesting seeing a lot of. And I've had a long backlog of attempts to get in on me with in DMs from state actors among scammers and bots, and so now it's interesting to see where the fuck these people are from. And so obviously some of the lower tier scamming has just been Nigerian bots, which is hilarious. I mean, at a certain point you suspect maybe they're not just a bot. Maybe it really is some poor retard trying to piece together English to make me go purchase a subscription on his fake OnlyFans page.
So, hello, boys. How's it going?
How you doing, Steve? Welcome.
Talking about the rollout of the location feature
for the X.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's been
I actually wanted to comment on. I wanted to throw something out there that I think there's a lot of mistakes made by Trump, namely every time he opens his mouth. However, outside of him speaking, one of the bigger mistakes that he made is he decided to go after the Venezuelan drug gangs as like the first military intervention in what is arguably a civil case. He should have gone after the Indian call center scammers who are defrauding people and just level the fucking building.
I mean,
you see, I would take it one further though. I would say that he should capture the Venezuelan boats and then launch them at the Indian call centers.
That's an option.
With the Venezuelans inside.
That would be very hilarious.
Because the puffball explosion of fentanyl would take out everyone involved. Let alone the kinetic impact.
It's amazing to me that the left has decided to they're just reactionary at this point, and that's really problematic.
Yeah.
I
took a little far earlier.
I mean, and I've mentioned this before many times. I want a strong left. I want the left to be better, but every single time they're offered an opportunity to provide a rational counterpoint to Trump, they don't. They weigh in on the wrong side of 80-20 issues.
Well, they just did that again, is what I was getting to there for a second. I don't mean to run into your point here, but
no, go ahead.
Where they talked about the whole thing where they talked about illegal orders. Yeah, it's true. It's a basic boot camp thing, but the specific intent there.
That's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
Well, the specific
should
intent
absolutely they should absolutely be charged with sedition. Now, again, a perfect example of Trump running his mouth instead of doing actual things. He should not have gone to Truth Social, and he should not have sat there and said, "Let's hang the Democrats." He should have turned around and waited for a reporter to ask him a question, and then just simply said, "Yeah, we're basically going to charge them with sedition because that's what they're doing." And when they turn around and they asked him to elucidate on that fact, you say, "Look, you guys are perfectly okay with Michael Cohen coming in and saying, yeah, Trump didn't tell me to do something, but I knew what he meant anyways." You can't turn around and tell me the Democrats don't know what the fuck they're doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew what they were saying. They knew what they were doing.
Dude, you saw the one dumbass. What the hell was her name? She put out that video complaining about the fact that he's now threatening her with death by pointing out that there's a death penalty.
Was that Jasmine Crockett?
There isn't a death penalty for sedition. Sedition is, I think, 20 years in jail.
Yeah,
it is considered a capital crime.
Oh, and there's the other thing too. One specific note on that is how many people completely blew up saying, he is threatening to kill me, when his literal words were, I can't remember exactly, but it's like sedition, the seditious traitors are hanged from the neck until dead, or something like that. It was very non-specific, and a lot of people were like, hey, that's me. Hey, over here. Hey,
that's what we're pointing out.
Hey, that's me. Why are you talking about me like that?
Yeah, that's again, like, this is the perfect example of where Trump ran his mouth rather than sitting there and developing an actual talking point. And that should have been the talking point, right? Like, that if he had turned around and said, yeah, we're just going to charge him with sedition, like, you know what? People like me would have fucking cheered. But with him deciding to run his mouth on Truth Social, people are being like, the sooner we 25th Amendment this guy, the better off we are, right? Like the bottom line is he had an absolute win on the Democrats for a legitimate crime, and it would have met and satisfied those of us who are like, hey, nothing ever happens, start arresting people. But he couldn't fucking bring that win home.
Well, I think that part of it is he is focused on midterms and trying to get a strong position there, and he's and I understand. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that it's him and his advisors. I bet you they're all just being fucking pussies right now, and they're too afraid to pull a trigger like that. Which I think we need to see the action, because that is what we were promised.
That is.
Speaking of action and trigger pullers, there's something that I've got to mention, and that's an update on Thomas Crooks. Well, everybody, you should know, he in fact worked alone, according to Cash Patel.
Wasn't he also in the furry trans camp? Didn't they also find that out?
Yeah, that's a small update that came out.
That one also did come out. Yeah.
So that's like, the 11th or 12th in 2 years.
Again, right? Yeah, it's not just that. It's also, people involved in assassinations of high-profile people on the right that are also specifically within that community.
Yeah, isn't that weird? I wonder if he used Discord.
Yeah, Armand and Yada.
Nothing would surprise me at this point.
It's one of those things when we dive into ignoring the Thomas Crooks thing and going back to the original point of discussion, which is the failure of the Trump administration to
the lack of action,
rein in, the lack of action. When they turn around and they decided to go after Adam Schiff, I was enthusiastic, and then I found out it's for like mortgage and securities fraud. And don't get me wrong, they went after Trump for that. They went after Trump for that, turnabout's fair play assholes.
Right.
100%.
That's part of the issue there.
A lot of the argument in that is that, well, we've just got to get them for what we can get them for. Well, that's the thing. You can get them for something fucking real. That's some bullshit, because we know full and well they've committed greater crimes than that. And you have every right to go after them for those greater crimes.
All they're doing,
I think that's the issue, though. What Steve said is that they're limiting themselves, and this is a very Republican thing, where they limit themselves to what Democrats have already shown they can do. It's what Democrats have shown they can already do, and they are not being very inventive on their playbook. And I think part of it is cowardice, because they know it will be used against them next time around, and justified by saying they did.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Like, this is.
And Democrats will do it anyway.
Yeah, used on them again, like it was the last time.
Right, when you turn around and you say, "Hey, I'm not going to go after this because my political opponents will go after me," the reality is, I think, and maybe I'm wrong, and I know that our audience here is going to probably go. I think that the majority of Democrats are honorable, just people, just like the rest of us. And that there's like 10 to 20% of them that are fucking bitch-ass faggots that cause us all kinds of problems. Right? They are nothing more than they are literally the bundle of sticks that make a mighty faggot. That is literally what they are.
Let me agree with you on this one with some numbers. Roughly 80% of people are good. That's a basic psychology fact.
Yep.
Full altruistic, and you can argue about the disposition of the latter 20% between political factions, what have you. Just assume that they're roughly equally disposed. So that's still going to be split either side of the aisle, what have you. That 20% tends to be really fucking loud and annoying, which is a frequency bias for people, a casual observer of social media. Always. Yep. So the people who get caught with 70-odd fucking convictions and then, catch and release. Like, that's going to be inside that 20%. And about 95% of people are not bad or not evil. So that last 5% is what contains the people who are going around stabbing and shooting.
And that's probably on the Dem side, that's probably like 10 to 20 people at most, right? If you fucking arrested those people, sure, they wouldn't have the faggot mentality. And I mean this in the the Simpsons episode. Alone we are individual sticks, but together we alone we're a bundle of sticks, but together we make So the Ralph Wiggins statement. So if you turned around and arrested those fuckers and just those fuckers, not only would it improve the Democratic Party's image overall, because after a very short period of time, they wouldn't be driven by fucking insane assholes. On top of that, you would have people would be sated. I don't want every Democrat arrested. I do want 10 to 20 of them arrested.
Well, the ones that cause all the problems. Should be. There's 6 in particular that we can point to directly, and those 6 are the ones on the video that called for seditious behavior.
There's 6 there. I think Adam Schiff gets
and then
thrown
Al
into
Green.
That bunch.
Yeah, there's
Adam Schiff, Al Green.
I'll accept that. Rashida Tlaib, she's in that group too. So it's really it's not a lot. And by the way, that's not to say that there aren't Republicans that are in the same boat. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I think there are several of them that should go too.
Right, and it is not Massey or any of those others that are principled libertarians that are saying
not Massey, not Rand Paul, but there's a couple of them that should just not be.
It'd be nice to see an investigation into Lindsey Graham, one that doesn't avoid any nook or cranny, but I do feel sorry for the person that has to look there. Just saying.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham's in that. I was okay with Bolton going down that way.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham's okay with any kind of deal going down in any kind of way.
No tears are lost with the loss of Dick Cheney. I
think Bolton should have Bolton should have gotten the goddamn noose for the shit he's caused.
Quite literally, not in a not in a violent sort of way, in an actual seditious traitor and aiding and abetting our enemies kind of way. In the same way that Milley should. Let's be real. Because
I don't like, wishing death on people. But if anyone deserves the capital crime rollout, he deserves either the noose, either the noose or 21 bullets in him.
And this is a perfect example of exactly what I was saying. Right, we can physically name the people that we think should face charges. It is so few. There are 450 members of Congress. It's roughly a 50-50 split. There's 200 something people there. We can roughly name and the same thing is true for the Senate. We can, of the 300 members of Congress on the House and the Senate side that are Democrats, there's 10 of them that we can name, and a handful of other state actors in other agencies. It is for them to go after Adam Schiff for sitting there and doing mortgage fraud. That is nothing more that is the problem with Trump is that he's a petty little shit. And ultimately they went after him for fucking petulant little nonsense, specifically that. So he just sat there and fired back at them, said, hey, go look into it and see if their shit's done.
There's something further to say on that, and I don't remember if it's specifically Adam Schiff or Letitia James, whatever the fuck. It's one of them on the mortgage fraud thing. They went after one of them for 3 things. They went to the grand jury, and the grand jury said, "Well, we think only 2 of these have evidence supporting them." And then instead of rewriting it and then going back to the grand jury like they're supposed to, they just rewrote it and got it signed off, which is a big no-no in the law world as far as crimes go. Now, the benefit
did go back to the. I don't know. I was watching Megyn Kelly's take on that because she's an actual lawyer.
Well, so I'll say this: the benefit
she was saying
is that
it seems to be
an
administrative error.
Well, so they can go back. That's the whole thing, is instead of the whole case being thrown out, and even if it does get thrown out, the important thing is there's no double jeopardy on that, because the evidence itself wasn't tried. The evidence was absent. So they can go, because the grand jury didn't say that there was evidence, so whatever. But they can go back and say, okay, here's the evidence again, grand jury. Grand jury signs off on it, then they sign off on it. The clerk signs it, and then it goes out for the arrest.
It sounded to me like that was just nothing more than an administrative error.
But it could have resulted in a jeopardy. That's the issue. Is if they had evidence and they still screwed it up somehow, that could result in a hung trial where jeopardy is imposed, and they can't do double jeopardy. This case, no double jeopardy. They just go back to them.
And that's the value of, like, as much as I hate administrative nonsense, that's the value of administrative nonsense, is it prevents you from making errors. It's tedious and not necessary in like 90% of cases, but it is very, very important in like 10% of cases. And so if you could, without administrative errors, nail that 10% down, then you don't need the administrative bullshit.
Right.
But if you can't, then you can't. But yeah, that was what I heard about that whole entire thing. I thought it was interesting.
I hadn't heard that I'd gone anywhere. That's all. All I knew was that this was the issue they had, and that there was potentially going to throw the case out. In which case, they just have to redo it, which is annoying. But if they've gone back and gotten it fixed, then great. It screams to me kind of like how we got what's his name, Al Capone, whoever we got with tax evasion instead of all the murders. No, they never found him.
No. Like, he was put away and then got off on everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Well, you know what I mean. Like,
no, Capone. Yeah.
It was Capone. Okay, so again, the IRS. It was touted as this cool thing where the IRS saved the day, and it was really just they sucked at their job finding the murderer.
Yeah, it's like they couldn't get anything, so they it's like, well, we can't fucking pin anything on this guy. At least we can.
Yeah, Hoffa was the
he didn't pay taxes on the money that he illicitly gained, so you're going to jail, buddy.
Which set the precedent for drug dealers being able to do it, which is hilarious. I mean, wait, if he paid his taxes, they wouldn't have been able to go after him. Yeah, man.
It's
tell the man that you're fucking with their people, and they'll be okay with it. Lie about it, and you're screwed.
So, in other news, the king is dead. Long live the king. Of course.
Which one?
As of today, the Department of Government Efficiency has largely been dissolved. But
what?
Yeah. Well, yes, but
that doesn't really surprise me. But they also almost dissolved the Department of Education, so
right. And the thing about it is,
I'm waiting on that one.
The Department of Government Efficiency was made to become redundant, and the part about this that is actually noteworthy is that it has now been seeded by way of the Office of Professional Management into every single government agency. So every government agency basically has somebody at OPM that's looking over their shoulder saying, "Hey, where are you cutting corners?"
Is that really worth it? So, an important point on that: the mission of Doggy was to provide Congress with the necessary information and oversight. Like, it was supposed to give them the info. It wasn't supposed to actually do anything. All they were supposed to do was provide information to Congress, and they did that.
I thought you shot at me.
So, it's all right. Steve's just playing video games. So, but the issue is, so there was an idea that maybe there's going to be some kind of ongoing reporting, but the main problem is that Doggy did his job, and then Congress has not, and that is
past for a lot of those cuts to be codified.
But the important information for the people is that Doggy has done his job as far as we're concerned, and that is that they provided the information of where all the waste is and how we can address the waste. And then
passed
on to these ineffectual fucksticks.
They did not do that. That is not true. They did not touch the Social Security Administration, and they did not touch the Pentagon.
Oh, they did touch the Social Security Administration. They found a whole bunch of people that are not alive anymore that are getting it.
They touched a very, very tiny portion of the Social Security.
If you want like the full audit of Social Security, I think you're right. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I would love to see that.
Yes,
they didn't
I
do
want
enough.
A full fucking audit.
Oh,
I want a full fucking audit.
We can agree they didn't do enough, but they also didn't have the full authority to do so at that point.
66% of federal spending is in these it's in welfare programs. It's in entitlements. So if they did not do a full audit of 66% of federal spending, they didn't do a fucking audit.
Fair.
Yeah, there's
now again
work to be done.
Preemptively, as far as their original mission statement goes, they found a large amount of waste in the budget, trillions of dollars. They said to Congress, here is the information you've requested. I think that a deeper dive is warranted. I think that you're 100% right that they should have done a full audit of Social Security. And they know where a lot of the issues are with Social Security. And the reason Social Security is so important, just as a kind of preliminary on that, is that a lot of these entitlement programs rely on a person's Social Security number and existence in that database to run numbers out and provide funding. So if you are on SNAP, then you have a Social Security number, or they have an equivalent tax identifier number that they use for you. But it's inside the Social Security number database. And there's a lot of bullshit in the database. So if you cut off the fraud in the Social Security number database, get rid of all the people that are 180 years old and 200 years old, and all the people who are age 6 months or not even born yet, just get rid of all of and even if it comes down to clerical errors, you can sort that kind of shit out. As soon as you suss all that stuff out, anybody who is fraudulently involved in a bunch of other welfare programs is automatically cut off at the knees. They're gone. They're not allowed to get those benefits because they're not inside the system that would otherwise provide their access. Well, so like that is a pinch point.
I think that there is. What's amazing to me is that as Doge was implemented, and it went after some key programs that it should have gone after 100%. The more striking thing is the big ticket programs that it did not go after. And don't get me wrong, I want the Department of Education defunded. Actually, let me rephrase that. I actually would support. I would support as a libertarian. I would support a strong Department of Education, provided it did the following. One, it had a core curricula in which academics were less important than technical skills, right? You should come out of high school knowing 2 trades and a cert. Every single person should come out with 2 trades and a cert. That would guarantee them work in the economy.
Boy, that would have been nice.
Whatever the economy is. And the Department of Education analyzing trends for the present and looking into the future to see what those trade programs should look like in a high school. And by the way, academics would be considered one trade, right? Sure. Like you're going to college. Going to college is a trade. That's one of your 2 trades. Other people could take accounting or legal or like literally construction, tech work, engineering, basic. Like you should be able to walk out with 2 trades and a cert, 100%. And if the Department of Education,
we're coming at this as engineers, mind you. We're saying that college is not for everybody.
College is not only not for everybody, but legitimately, if I could have worked a trade, see this is the problem. A lot of people turn around and looked at college as like what smart people go do, and that's not true. Smart people will be successful in any location in which they apply themselves. In the event that I turned around and I had a trade and I didn't have that debt associated with it, I would actually probably be more successful than I am today. Right now, I can think of I've offered guidance to Evan here in terms of how he can bolster his income, and that actually worked out, if I remember correctly. Evan, is that correct?
Yeah, a little bit, and I've since kind of moved on to something that's even more lucrative for me. But yeah,
sure. But that's the thing. It's all stepping stones, right? Sure. Like I can think of right now, off the top of my head, a handful of market activities in which an individual with basic level competency, not even like actual certification in something, but basic level competency could easily open a business and start pulling in $80,000 to $100,000, right? Like it is so incredibly easy to make money with your hands that like we made a huge mistake going to being engineers. And I'm a senior engineer. I'll probably be a principal this year. Literally, I'll probably, to be honest, I'll probably end up switching or trying to switch companies because one of the neighboring companies out here is Regeneron, and they pay like way more money for a principal engineer. But that's a goal, not an actual achievable.
And remember, there's always Andrew.
The point is that every single time you sit there and we start talking about like all of these kids who hate capitalism or hate this or hate that, that's because every single one of them was shoved down the fucking academic path. They walked out of high school with zero applicable skills. They can do nothing. And so they get paid nothing. And then some of them went on to college.
Everyone used to do shop. Everyone used to do home econ, right?
No, fuck that. That's nowhere near enough.
That I was just saying, like that used to be one of the bare minimums, is that you could leave high school and you could do some basic home repairs.
Yeah,
like you should
be able to comfortably
you could fix a door hinge.
Right, and those things, like the Department of Education sitting there and saying, hey, we're going to project 20 years out. What are we going to need for labor? And we're going to roll out these programs, and we're going to have standardized curricula, and you can just, like, your school can subscribe to that curricula, and we're going to retire stuff that is not useful anymore, right?
Here in the U.S., I would say we need steel workers. I mean, if we're going to project 20 years out,
if you turned around like an HVAC technician can make $60,000 a year. If you turn around and said, hey, here's a job that'll make you $60,000 a year and you don't need to pay for a college degree, that is a very valuable educational institution. 100% that's a valuable educational institution. And this is like when as much as I actually am in favor of things like free college or almost free college, I just don't think that should apply to like gender studies degrees or all of these other things. And so whenever I hear Democrats like Bernie Sanders come in and talk about education and the importance and value of education, they aren't limiting it. They aren't saying, yeah, but we're not going to pay for this. They're implying that you can go do whatever the hell it is that you want to do, and that's a problem. But like so I'm actually in favor of a strong Department of Education. I just don't think they have not succeeded in delivering an economically valuable workforce coming out of high school. And number two, if that wasn't your goal, if your goal was to have an educated mindset that's entering the populace, and you use the metrics that you would use for that, they fucking failed on that metric too. So they failed on everything that they could have had in terms of a possible success. And so, yeah, they can get disbanded. But the point is, going back to Doge sat there and went after USAID, which is a giant liberal trust fund. I get that. It's great to take that money out of the system. But they didn't actually – they should have cut their teeth on USAID. And then after USAID, they got sicked on the fucking DOD and all of Social Security and all the social programs. And what was it? Elon said that he came in saying he thought he could find $2 trillion of money and waste in the budget. If he didn't, and I remember that apparently, like, on his way out, that was a big issue with the Trump administration and him, was he claimed that he could potentially get $2 trillion. Now, knowing Elon overpromises and underdelivers all the time. That's like his basically how he operates his business.
Well, that's how a salesman like him will run a business anyway. Trump does that. Any big business person is going to.
I'm not faulting him for it. I'm not faulting him for it. I'm just
broadly generalizing it out there.
We would never have gotten $2 trillion, but if he didn't actually get access to the 2/3 of our spending, which is something like what is it now, like 6 or 7 trillion? I can't remember.
I think we're at like a $6.5 trillion budget now, and so we're able to pay like 4.5, right? If we have a $2 trillion deficit.
You want to turn around and say, hey, I want to have a target of $2 trillion, and I'm not allowed to get access to $7 trillion of spending. Yeah, I think there's probably 10 to 20% waste.
Hold on a second.
I absolutely believe that the Social Security Administration and the DoD alone, you could find 10 to 20% waste in both of those programs.
Federal spending is at $7 trillion. Our budget deficit's 1.768. So, yeah, it's about $1.75 trillion deficit, $7 trillion budget, which is massive. And remember, Elon's goal was $2 trillion.
Yep.
And I think we got maybe like $1.5 trillion in spending that we directly saw. Now on the fraud side, what we did find was like 20+ trillion in fraud, which is I don't remember. We're at 38 trillion in national debt right now. The fact is, the vast majority of that is fraudulent payouts on our entitlement programs.
How did they find the 20 trillion though? Like, how do you find 20 trillion in previously?
So that's payout over time.
I get that, but like, how did they make that assessment?
Well, I think that's the part where we probably need to do like an actual full read through of doggy reports, which, as far as like the specifics on that, but they were doing that. They found that out while they were looking through Medicare, Medicaid. A lot of the payouts, like a stupidly large amount of the payouts, were fraudulent, and they tracked that backwards from the present day payouts that they found were fraudulent.
Oh, actually, you know what? We should pause on that for just a quick second and mention, because there's something very specific that very recently came out regarding fraudulent payouts. And Minnesota? Yeah. Somalis in Minnesota have been
the $2 or so billion
millions and millions and millions of dollars, and sending it back
to billions of dollars that they it's billions of dollars over the past 5 years. And let me be very specific on what the major problem I have besides all the fraud is. Minnesota taxpayers are the number one funders of Al-Shabaab.
Yep.
That is insane.
Yep.
Like
literal terrorist group.
And so the revocation of the temporary, the revocation of temporary protected status is a bare minimum, and all those people need to be either the fuck out of the country or in prison where they can do no more harm, because that is the kind of shit that should come with a hanging. These are the guys who are blowing up our boys in the desert for the past 20 years. That is on a level that is so beyond scope of what we have normal legal tools to address, that it seriously needs to be it needs to be addressed.
There must
is what
be
it really
action,
needs to be.
Period.
Yeah, that is one of those things, and they are taking action with the Somali fraudsters in the U.S. Finding a way to cut those funds off and then claw back whatever we can for the people who got defrauded in Minnesota is another big one. You know, as much as I don't want to give Tim Walz any more fucking money to be able to do his dumb bullshit, we should be able to like claw some back for, I don't know, refunding to the people, because it's like a couple $1 billion that they managed to pull out of the economy up there. It's nuts.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's money that's just been completely parasitized from the American economy. It's just taken out and gone.
Yep.
And it's now involved in this tribal warfare between different factions of Somalis too. It's in the U.S.
Yeah. Also that.
Well, I think we can bring Sam in and start to phase him into the discussion, because I'm gonna have to start doing some things around here a little bit. I still got about a half hour.
Now that said, hey Sam, how you doing? Well, okay. Well, you're there, so say hi when you get here.
Oh, am I there? Am I here now?
You're there. You're there. You're here.
Yes. So, sorry about that. My mic was muted.
Oh.
So,
well,
you said you had
the Whitfield report.
Yeah. So So the Social Security thing, I think you guys just pointed this out with Minnesota. I think one thing that a lot of people don't understand is a lot of this fraud in the Social Security Administration, from what I've been told from friends who work on the Hill, a lot of it has to do with how the individual states run Social Security, specifically with entitlements and whatnot. So that's like a major aspect of why there's so much fraud, is because some, some state governments, Tim Walls, don't necessarily want to talk to the Fed about all of their entitlements and whatnot. So that's a major problem right there.
Well, amongst others, but sure.
So, the other thing is, I know that, I mean, certainly we do need to get rid of like certain entitlements, or just programs that don't exist. But the other problem that you have too is there are individuals, like me, who have pre-existing conditions and disabilities that are actually real and not fraudulent. And really, there's a limit
now,
to
being an author isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like you're an actor, man. You can get better.
Yeah. I mean,
look at it this way. Scott Adams is it. He's a very good author.
Yeah. Look at what did to him.
Pretty much.
That was cold.
Pretty much. There is also the whole thing though of if the problem that I've run into, and I don't run into as much as some others, but if you have like a legitimate disability and you're working and then you make over a certain amount, they'll kick you off of Medicaid.
Oh yeah.
Which is, well, that's one of the bigger problems that I was talking about a little bit last week. Is there's two major problems with the way that we've set up our social programs, and one is that we've decided means test everything, and so we incentivize people to not work by means testing this, by saying, hey, yeah, you get punished if you work too much or if you're too productive, you lose your benefit. That's one of them. And the second is that we decided to just, not really screen things. So we have this situation where we have people who may or may not need the program. But it's better to put a program into effect that literally everyone can access, but only people who need it will use it, than to turn around and do a program that says you can only be on this program if you meet certain criteria.
Sure. The other problem though with the screening thing, and this is one thing you kind of mentioned last week too, and I have no way of proving this, other than just anecdotal evidence and talking to other people I know who are in similar situations. They will screen some people more vigorously than others for programs. I can almost certainly guarantee you that I get screened, a lot more, and I have to do, annual paperwork to make sure all my stuff is in order. But I damn well know that there's probably some illegal out there that has been skating on the system for years, and that motherfucker probably hasn't had to do any paperwork whatsoever, as evidenced by all the
I'm
fraud.
Sure they do paperwork. That's not so like they're not going to turn around. The problem that you have is that it's not. This goes back to like ID and the concepts of ID. So a lot of these systems will allow you to, for ease of access and a variety of other things, all you have to do is sit there and routinely testify that you still need whatever this program is, and you'll keep on receiving benefits.
Oh yeah, a lot
and
of
so
them
there's
are
a
kind
variety.
of self-certified, as it were.
They're self-certified, and that's a great way to phrase it. And then on top of that, what you'll have is you'll have individuals who are really, really, really fucking good at filling this shit out. And so, do you actually need the program is not the thing, because they'll go through a quote unquote consultant who will handle it for them. And the argument that the consultant will make is something along the lines of, well, I deal with disabled individuals. How can they possibly, be expected to understand this? And yeah, if you're like mentally retarded, the associated paperwork for government, government forms is overwhelming. To be honest, probably an individual of reasonable IQ would have trouble understanding the majority of government paperwork. And that's a feature, not a bug. But at the same time, when you start talking about this, they'll have the consultant just automatically fill stuff out for them. And then if you have a consultant processing all this paperwork as the legal designee or the legal whatever, the legal advisor, that's how you get a lot of these things that continue on indefinitely, because they don't require an individual to show up in an office, present ID, validate they are who they say they are and that they need the program. They'll have this individual consultant do it on the side.
Yeah, and then like for people who have legitimate disabilities, they won't even tell people what they're really entitled to either in some cases, or what they should be getting on too. So you'll have all these, quote unquote, advocates who will teach, people who shouldn't be on the system how to game the system. And then,
now for what
meanwhile,
it's worth, a number of those organizations have fortunately, very fortunately, dissolved with the ending of USAID monies.
Yeah.
I mean, even so, right? Like, and I'll put this,
sadly.
I started off progressive, right? I ended up libertarian, but I started off progressive. And the fastest way that you become unprogressive, if you are a noble, high-minded individual, is that you go into the epicenter of these places as not an individual that's there that can get them something, but as an individual who's there just doing something else. And so I have, when I was a security guard, I think I've talked about this on the show. When I was a security guard, one of the first things that really changed my mind was I was commuting 4 hours a weekend, every weekend. I'd go through school full time, and then I'd commute 4 hours on the weekend. And after I commuted 4 hours on the weekend, I would work for 32 hours, and then I'd drive back to where I needed to go, right? And that was to get a job, pay for my rent, do all that other stuff. Going in on a Friday night while my wife was going to a party because she had a local job and I did not, and watching people come in with 2 cases of beer and order a hooker. I have no problem with beer and or hookers, but I do have a problem if you're in a subsidized housing complex getting beer and or hookers.
Well, I mean, that EBT's got to get spent somewhere, Steve. Come on.
I have no problem. I have no problem with people having sex, and I have no problem with booze or other drugs or whatever you want to do. But if you have the money for booze, drugs, and sex, then you have the money to not have a subsidized housing complex.
That's a thought.
So yeah. This is inherently the challenge that you have, and that was one. I saw another one. There was a woman who was sing-songy voicing with her daughter there that it was her father's money. So you run into the fact that the fastest way to abuse yourself of the notion, or disabuse yourself of the notion that these programs are good, is to actually be in there. I can tell you, as I ran a side business. And my side business was doing TV repairs. And a lot of times, oddly enough, a disproportionate number of the people who complain about the TVs and get them repaired are folks who are on the lower portion of the socioeconomic spectrum. I don't know why that is, but it is. Maybe that's because I had lower quality TVs. Most of my stuff was Vizios and stuff like that. I have a Vizio, so I'm not complaining about Vizios. They're fine enough quality. Hell, I fucking repaired my TV.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty okay. They kind of have not the best sound, but whatever.
Yeah, I'll agree. I got a Samsung sound system that I got to install once I finish this living room.
Yeah.
Which should be coming sometime this week.
Yeah, if you can't.
But
tell,
I can tell you,
I've had a Vizio in the past as well. So yeah.
On top of that experience, where I was sitting there and going into a subsidized housing complex as a security guard, I also went in to repair these people's TV, and it was a black family. Not that it matters necessarily all that much, but I remember sitting there. Actually, there's a bunch of different times that I've had to do this, and I've had.
Were you nice enough to replace the smoke detector batteries while you were there?
I did not. That's funny though.
Okay.
They were actively scheming. They were actively scheming in how to get through screening and what disabilities had the highest payout and which ones had the least ability to secure. I think they settled on this girl who, she was out of high school but wasn't by much, clearly able-bodied.
Sure.
They were having a discussion at the kitchen table about how about which federal program would be best to be on. And it was something along the lines of welfare, like they just come and they challenge your status all the time, and like you have to refile the paperwork, and it's a giant hassle. But disability is the way to go, and you get paid, depending on your disability, you get paid more money than others, right? Just different disabilities have different compensation rates, apparently.
Yeah.
And so she was saying something along the lines of like one of the highest paying disability claims with the least amount of oversight and paperwork is to claim that she's bipolar.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple things out of this that I walked away with. One is if we have a treatment for a disability, then you shouldn't be considered as having a disability. So in the case of bipolar, we can give you some lithium or any one of a wonderful variety of different drugs
so that you can be a productive member of society. There you
Once
go.
we fix you up like that, if you should only be able to claim disability, Medicare, or Medicaid, under the premise that you have a disability that can't be fixed. And this will essentially result in only physical disabilities and hardcore, like basically TBIs, being covered. Right. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, both of which, I mean, cerebral palsy isn't necessarily like a TBI, but I mean it could be considered as one. And this is kind of the problem. Is I absolutely agree with you. Is there are people like me who do, I basically have like a freelance, business, and that's what I do. But like I still have a disability, and I don't complain, much about it. I'm kind of like, it is what it is. It sucks that it happened, but I'm having to compete with, people who who basically have like emotional, disabilities don't even exist or didn't exist until like 5 minutes ago, and it's hard to compete with
professional victims
them because they're much more sympathetic.
Victims?
Yeah,
funny that when somebody devotes all their energy into bilking the system and becoming a victim so that they can just take what there is to take, they get quite good at it. And then they become very upset when things happen to those Gibbs, as it were.
Yeah, well, the other infuriating thing, this is like a perfect example of fraud. So I was trying to get a standard manual wheelchair that was fitted for me for the past 5 years, going back like 2019, and did all I got a prescription from my doctor. I got an analysis from my physical therapist, jumped through all the hoops that I needed to, bureaucratically, and yet when it came time to submit to Medicaid, without even meeting me, basically the Medicaid board basically said, and I quote, basically, you're too able-bodied to qualify for this, wheelchair. Even though both my doctor and my physical therapist basically said, hey, Sam needs this. Meanwhile, transgender surgeries were being covered, completely as like a medical necessity. So they wouldn't cover like a $2,400 wheelchair, but they would easily cover like a $50,000
this male
transgender
inmate at the
surgery.
female prison, he needs some implants, or he's not going to feel very good being around the women that he's having sex with.
Yeah.
Well, and this is kind of the thing, right? Like, one of the problems that you have is, should we or should we not have disability programs? And personally, I think I personally feel, and I think a lot of people would agree, that we should have strong social safety nets. The problem that we have is that we don't have strong social safety nets. We have strong social fucking hammocks, and people will relax in these things. And that's not what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to catch you when you fall. They're supposed to catch you when you can't sit there and keep on going. That's the point of the strong social safety net.
Yeah.
I'll interject there. I think that's actually a perfect phrasing of it as far as the difference that we should see people be referencing to. I think it's a very good phrasing of it. Social safety net versus a social hammock.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a phrase. I think that one's really good.
Or when you fall, to make sure that the fall doesn't destroy you.
Doesn't destroy you. Right. And I'm 100% in favor of that. Whatever is required to achieve that, I'm okay with that. The problem is that you have a whole bunch of people who are lounging in that. And let's take your cerebral palsy example. Let's say tomorrow somebody came up with a medical pill for cerebral palsy, and it costs whatever the fuck it costs per month. I would be perfectly okay with Medicaid turning around and saying, hey, Sam, here's your pill. Take this pill, and we're no longer giving you any other benefits other than this pill. I think that's fine. The women that were sitting there and being like, oh, which particular disability are we going to claim here or there or whatever? Like, that's the same kind of thing. It's fine to claim that you are bipolar, but if we have medication for being bipolar, then the expectation is that you take the treatment. And peaceful dude. Sorry. Don't want to get shot. The expectation should be that you take the treatment, whatever that treatment may be, and you work on getting yourself better.
Yeah, assuming that something like and I've said this too, like assuming that something like Neuralink were to eventually pass FDA approval, and people with traumatic brain injuries could get a Neuralink implant covered completely.
Yeah.
I would be all for something like that being covered, so that then those of us who aren't able-bodied could, and then get into the workforce more more mainstream, because right now I'm kind of having to under the table some stuff a bit.
Yeah, you make it work.
But the other problem I have is there is kind of the libertarian mindset, and I understand why this mindset exists, but there's kind of the system is so broken that we just need to burn the entire thing down and get rid of all the safety nets. And I'm like, look, I know it's bad, but if you were to just do that, like, more than half the country would just die, if that. were to happen.
I don't know. I don't know if half the country would die. I don't think it would be anywhere near those kinds of numbers. I understand what you're saying. It's a large number of people, but it's not half. It's not even remotely half. And when we turn around and we start talking about hey, let's burn it down, this is the problem with social parasitism, is if you have a blighted field, what do you do with a field? You can either attempt to cure it, which if there's a way to cure it, that's great. But if you don't have a way to cure it, then you got to fucking light it on fire and walk away, because it's just a fucking loss. And whatever good comes from this crop allocation or whatever else you do, like it is a net social harm to have the social parasites. And this is the inherent problem. Like, a lot of the times when we start talking about medically, how we handle this stuff, it's a there's multiple examples where we do this, where we essentially poison the entire system in order to heal the problem. And yes, that sucks, right? Like, chemotherapy is a perfect example. Nobody wants cancer. Cancer really sucks. But what sucks even more than cancer is the treatment for cancer. And the treatment for cancer, largely today, is a process by which you don't sit there and target the cancer, because you can't. You kill everything else and hope that the cancer dies faster than everything else in the body. And unfortunately, like, that's the difficulty you have with things like social safety nets and social programs, is how do we successfully purge the system without harming the people who actually need it? And right now, especially with the way the left has handled things, we don't have any way to differentiate those two. And as from my perspective as a taxpayer, as an individual who works my ass off every single fucking day in order to sit there and pull a living down for my family, if my choice is if I could turn around, if somebody came to me, Sam, and somebody said, Steve, you pay $20,000 a year in taxes, I'm going to save you $10,000, and but in exchange, some portion of the United States population will die, and you'll get $10,000 extra dollars a year. I'm okay with that cost. Like, that's not. I'm not going to cry about it, because as far as I'm concerned, right now the system is polluted, and so purge is the way.
My counter argument to that specific argument would also be, though, well, if things are that bad with the safety nets, is let's look at something else like defense, which is also bloated and out of control.
Yeah, but the social safety nets are 2/3 of the budget, and defense is like 12%. So I'm not going to get a $10,000 savings out of cutting the defense budget. I will get I won't get. So I think my taxes were like $20,000 last year, something like that. I won't get a $10,000 savings out of 10% of the budget being cut. Even if you cut it to zero, I won't get that kind of savings. But I will get that kind of savings if we cut into the 66%.
Yeah, I mean, that target's not going to run itself. Let's be honest.
Fair enough. So,
well, bear in mind, we found significant fraud. I think if we could at least address that, that's where Doggy's hands were tied.
Yes.
If we could at least, like, that would take a lot of the pressure off basic question of how much we should be.
And to be fair, completely fair, if we could remove the, I don't know, 50 to 100 million X that could be leaching off the system, that would also ease it up a lot.
Well, the illegal aliens need to get the fuck out. That's the thing. That's why it's a good question that posed is how many did you vote to get rid of? And the answer is invariably, as it should be, fucking all of them. None of them belong here. Not one.
100%. 100%. Those motherfuckers need to go. But at the same time, we still need to deal with the fact that there are a group of people who are narcissistic and self-interested to the point where even though they could work, they don't. And how do we deal with those people? And the answer is, if I'm given a choice between killing the entire program and letting those people continue to exist off of me fuck them and fuck the people who benefit from the program.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree with that.
These programs used to be covered by public interest organizations and churches.
Yeah,
like welfare was covered by churches before.
Like if I turn around, if we were to change things back to the churches or any one of those other types of things, I think that's a fine and fantastic way to deal with it.
Good reason because for a church to be tax exempt for that matter. Honestly,
some of them sucked, but it also, however, was a very, very, very diverse and expansive marketplace of opportunities for people to go get help. It wasn't just one church. It wasn't just one government church that said, "Here's the money, hang out." It was, "Hey, you want to work? You want to get the money? You know, if you're going to come in here and be an asshole instead of pray, we're not going to help you. If you're going to come in here and just mooch off of us, we might give you some chores."
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like,
you don't want enslavement, but you want to get people help.
I'm a big fan of the individual who can't pay for their meal has to go wash dishes in the back. I think that's a perfectly fine thing.
Yeah.
I and again, right? Like as much as as much as we've had this discussion where I've basically told Sam I don't really care whether he lives or dies, and that's fundamentally what I said, and I stand by that. By the way, at the same time, I still think that there's a lot of real reform that could be done, such as turning around and not sitting there and putting Sam in a position where he has to choose between obtaining an income and making sure that he maintains benefits. And by the way, like coming from a personal perspective, I saw this with my father. My father had cancer. He was an engineer. He was a very, very senior principal engineer for aerospace. He was really good with turbine design. And I remember he had a job interview, and because he really wanted to work. Like the cancer made it so that he wasn't necessarily sure he could work, but he still wanted to work because he enjoyed doing the work. It's enjoyable.
Oh, yeah,
and so they came back with a salary value that was way too high for him to maintain disability with. And that's a problem. That's a serious problem. And this is why we shouldn't have social safety nets, and we shouldn't have social hammocks. We should have social safety floors.
Well, let me interject real quickly with something that I've heard said on this.
But are available to everyone.
Well, let me interject here with something I think both you guys will appreciate. So LASIK is completely uncovered by basically any medical coverage. Like it's just not something you're going to get. And well, now you can just go out and buy LASIK for $1,000, $2,000. So the market can provide solutions to a lot of this if we let it.
Oh, it's pretty amazing. You want a better example? Let's talk about childcare. I hear all the time that childcare is not something that is. It's expensive, right?
$30,000 a year on the order.
Obviously, yeah. I am in a position where I am now having to deal with finding childcare. And so because we had a lot of problems with fertility leading up to this point, years ago, when we had our first successful pregnancy, right before it died, I went out to all the childcare places to get a spot, to make sure that I had a place to put the kid. So that, because my wife makes $120,000 a year, and so yes, it is more cost effective for us to do childcare than have either one of us stay home as a parent. And so we had a couple different places that we looked at, but I looked at all of the nonprofits with the base-minded assumption that a non-capitalistic profit motive incentive is going to lead to better outcomes in terms of cost and benefits, right?
Let me guess. Everybody's got an angle?
Everybody's got an angle. That's my assumption. So I stuck to I looked at the JCC that was local, which is the Jewish Community Center, for those who don't know, and the YMCA. And both of those are excellent programs. They're in my area. They had stuff that was relatively low cost. Didn't even bother with the private producers, because I figured if I informed them early enough and got on their list early enough, I could take advantage of a nonprofit, assuming that it was lower cost. So now we have the child, and so I'm still on the YMCA's waiting list after fucking 4 years, and they made a mistake and moved me to the toddler thing for the child that died. And so I called them. I'm like, no. I was on the infant. They had a 3-year waiting list for the infants. I don't even understand how. I'm not even joking. So I'm like, no, you made a mistake. I was on the infant waiting list, and it just so happens that I have an infant coming. So, and they're like, well, I guess we have to honor the fucking date. I'm like, yeah, you better fucking honor the date. So we got back on that, and my wife last Thursday, or I think it was Thursday, she texted me. She said, hey, a lot of people look at this private company here, and it's literally a corporate phone number. I shit you not, it's a corporate phone number. And I call, and they give me like a corporate speech as to what the costs are and what everything else is.
Thank you, please, choosing for
and it was wrong.
Child raising service.
But it was the YMCA is $406 a week, and it comes with nothing, bare bones. I'm not saying that it's not an enriching environment. They provide the people to care for the infants, which OCFS, which is the Office of Child Safety or whatever, for New York, has a mandatory minimums on all that. They meet those mandatory minimums at $406 a month. This alternative place we went to provides, and I shit you not, for $335 a month, which I get a 10% discount because we're part of the Navy base.
Okay.
And so that would be like $300 a month. So for $300 a month, they provide food, diapers, and all of the child care. And while we go in there, like every single kid was like attached at the hip to all of these child care providers, and they had people who had been working in this place for greater than 10 years. So there's not a high rotation of staff. Right,
That's
like the minimum. Yeah, the minimum I saw was somebody who had been there for 5 years and 10 years. So somehow, the private capitalist system produced an outcome that was better than that was cheaper, provided more services, and had staff that was there longer than the nonprofit entity that was providing the same services. So capitalism does a great job and works very, very well.
Lifted billions of people out of poverty and provided a world in which freedom has existed for the first time in ever. But
yes, indeed.
Because if you want to look at it back through the history of history, we've never been free, ever. And this is as close as we've ever gotten.
Well, yeah. Arguably, some level of freedom has to. Nobody wants ultimate freedom.
Oh yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying. Like liberty, the likes of which we know today, has never been known in the past of humanity.
Correct.
Well, and that's kind of what I was getting at too. Is like all these people want to burn down. Who want to burn down the the safety nets as the first resort rather than the last resort. They're the ANCAP types who are really more like they don't really want to conserve anything. They just want to burn everything down because they're accelerationists more than anything.
That's
the problem you have is that there hasn't been an alternative. Every single time anyone sits there and talks about reforming the social safety nets, an army of people talk about how grandma is going to get thrown off a cliff.
Oh yeah,
right. Like
we all literally lived through this just a few years ago. Aren't you going to get the jab for grandma? What about your grandma?
There was that. We now have our current healthcare program, which fucking blows dick. And that was all about how grandma needs whatever the fuck it is. So, like, the problem that we have is that if my choice is burn it down or do nothing at all, my answer is going to be burn it down.
Well, at the very least, then you're forced into the situation of having to build something to replace it. And we're kind of at the point where it can't be worse. I mean, it could. Yeah. It could always be worse with the government involved. But it's really not great. So there's not a lot of down left to go. At least not as far as health insurance is concerned.
Well, I mean, in health insurance or pick the program, right? Like
fair. EBT, SNAP, yeah. That's fair. And I've got actually a bit of breaking news here. This is just from about an hour ago. We've got long time coming, honestly. But Trump has said that he's going to be designating the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist foreign organization. In quotes here, it will be done in the strongest and most powerful terms. So we can expect something interesting on that.
I can't wait for the what is the not the ADL but
CARE.
Oh, CARE, but also I can't wait for the ACLU, which, let's be real, has been hijacked by commies to start crying out discrimination.
They might.
And whatnot.
They might, but they also might not, because there is kind of a push to label Muslims as the enemies of the West, which, well, let's be real, they kind of are. Unless you're talking about your MBS types, your Tweety types, people that actually genuinely want to reform Islam out of the 14th century.
I need to chime in on this one real quick. So, by long time coming, you mean since 1928? That's when the Muslim Brotherhood happened. In addition, so in Texas, this is a big thing in Texas. No, not that. So the governor of Texas has designated not just Muslim Brotherhood but also CARE as hostile. They're designated foreign terrorist organizations now.
Excellent. And
CARE, unlike say AIPAC, CARE based in fucking Egypt or Austria. So why this actually goes back to X and their recent update.
Oh God, I love that.
The recent feature out. Why the fuck is the person who is the lead for CARE not in the United States? Why are they not based in the United States? So that the CARE account, why is that not in the U.S.? It's because they're not a fucking U.S. organization. Same with Muslim Student Association, MSA. That has been a major funnel of money into terrorist hands on the scale of the Al-Shabaab revelations from Minnesota.
Yeah.
So these are hostile foreign organizations, terrorist organizations.
We all share in the loot?
That should have been designated a long time ago. It's been a long time coming. Muslim Brotherhood has been a pain in our ass the entire time they've existed. They have specifically been hostile to the USA. And in 1991, they put out that little manifesto of theirs on how they're going to take over the United States. And we've basically been letting them do it. We should have designated them then.
Well, Douglas Murray, I actually listened to a podcast with him.
He's very good.
I'm a huge fan. I listened to a podcast of his where he said that the term Islamophobia was basically invented by the Muslim Brotherhood like 30 years ago. They're the ones who came up with it as...
Well, I like Hitchens, where he says it's a term that was invented by assholes for idiots to use on ignorant people.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm
paraphrasing.
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure if any of you guys were aware of this or if any of you have heard of the podcast Trigonometry, but
that's an interesting one.
But I
don't watch it as regularly as they should.
Well, they just dropped an episode with Hassan Piker, and it's wild. They just dropped it like an hour or so ago, and while I was listening to you guys earlier, I got like a bunch of texts being like, "Hey, is this the Hassan guy that you and Max keep talking?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, yeah, yeah, it is."
Oh no, the normies are hearing them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. All the normies are hearing them, and they're like, "Why do people keep bringing up who's Kaya? Why are they bringing up?" Bringing up God, I'm like,
perfect.
I'm like, oh, there's so much lore I have to fill you guys in on. So,
indeed, much to know. You'll be shocked at the things you learn. Matter of fact. That's
oh yeah, positively shocked.
Certainly. It's not a negative experience that you'll have in the elucidation of these.
All shocks are negative experiences.
No. Kaya had a very negative, then positive, then negative, then positive, then negative, then positive experience.
Well, it's an alternating experience.
There you go. It's a high voltage experience that she experienced.
Well, and to be fair, Hassan always wanted to go super viral. Congratulations, buddy. Everybody knows your name.
Yeah, they do.
That said, I will recommend to any listeners at any time you're listening to this, wherever you're listening, Shock, I Can't Stop. Amazing track. Excellent. I thoroughly recommend it. It's got millions of views. It's actually doing very well on Spotify right now. And it pays tribute to, an OG Kaya. One day.
First of her name.
From the,
That is a travesty too. When you, I didn't know that Kaya was like that was like an expensive dog breed, but it's like holy.
Oh, the whole thing.
Shit,
it's
like
just so perfect. It's like, everyone, look at my designer dog. No, look at it right there. It's right fucking there. No, no,
place.
No,
place,
no. See, she's right there.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, this asshole
were just amazing.
This asshole wants to say, "Oh, communist China has the best system," and it's like, yeah, your dog costs more than the average,
Oh,
Did you see the stack of cash in his hand? There was someone who quoted that post by Hassan, said China has the chance to do the funniest thing. And I was waiting for them to repurpose, all of the cash that he has won from the people in some way or fashion.
That would be funny.
It's the people's winnings.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, he's got his whole content factory back in L.A. that he can go back to and manufacture more content.
The funniest part of that travel so far has been the part where everyone knows who Asmongold is and nobody knows who the fuck he is.
I was wanting to mention that actually because
Asmongold is pretty great. I just really found him relatively
and the
recently.
New numbers.
Oh,
the new
that's
numbers
exactly
came out.
It. They did, and well, Hassan. It seems that on one platform that the two of you share, since you only stream on the one, but on the one platform that the two of you do share, it would appear that Asmongold does do a bit better on the one platform.
A fair bit.
And he is an interesting, his politics are very interesting.
Oh yeah,
he's got well-developed not caring.
I disagree. I and this is the problem that you run into. It's like, oh, Steve doesn't care, or Asmongold doesn't care.
No.
That's
about
not
someone
true.
living or dying. About someone living or dying. He goes a bit further than.
No. So he says that. He says that, but he's also very, very clear that the problem is that every single time we make these decisions, you're weighing on one side or the other. And so you're either negatively impacting one person's life or the other. And so fundamentally, when Asmongold sits there and makes one of these determinations that he's okay or he is unsympathetic to your survival, it's not about him being unsympathetic to people's survival. It's that he's unsympathetic to the individual who's leeching off the system. Because the individual who's leeching off the system is harming everyone else.
It's not just that, though. His talk about the bottom percentage that he wants to just end, which is
no, he doesn't want to end them.
Well,
he believes that so his view.
His view is that the society would be better if they went away, which is probably fair.
No. So it works like this, right? He turns around and he says, if you look at the crime stats, 60% of all crimes are committed by 1% of the population.
Oh, it's the whole. If you lock up 100 people, and you know it's the 100 people that are doing the thing.
If you bump that number up to 2%, that's 90 some odd percent of the crimes.
And the 2% people that he talks about.
I don't have a problem with arresting 2% of the entire population. Just take 2% of the population and throw it in jail. And that would drop crime to like nothing for everyone else. And he's not wrong. Like that
I think El Salvador proved.
Yeah, it does kind of.
Yeah, it really did.
I hope you aren't thinking of pressing that button, are you? It would be unconscionable to press that button that fixes everything. We don't support even the discussion of button pressing.
I don't know, because that means we now have to support 2% of the population in prison. We have to feed them and clothe them.
Think about it this way.
So
if you can't even put them to work because that's a human rights violation somehow.
That's not true. That's part of the Asmongold solution. The Asmongold solution is that
final
they get
solution,
his solution. No, he doesn't have a final solution. Is that we take those people, we throw them in jail, and then their predominant job becomes breaking big rocks into littler rocks.
I mean, no, we seriously do need that for doing metals refining. We should actually put people to work like that again. Mm-hmm. And I think since we can't crush them with a diesel crusher, I think pickaxes and hammers is probably the way to go.
Well, I mean, like, and the challenge you have is you want to make sure that American jobs are well paid, but at the same time, if somebody wants to turn around and tell me that Americans won't do X amount of work, we have an entire prison system.
There is one of those. We have got one, largely private, so they could. I'm sure they could come up with some interesting monetization abilities there.
If you Google the cost of prison, it's not terribly expensive. Some states it's really expensive, but other states like Texas, they get that shit knocked out for $14,000 a year, and you're like, holy shit.
It's funny how much things do and don't cost in certain places. Like, for instance, you can build a mile. Is it even a mile? A mile of high-speed railway in California over a decade or so for many billions of dollars. Or in China, you can do the one road policy and just build a fucking highway across all of Eastern Europe. Mind you, they're indebted to you for 99 years after the fact, but that's secondary to the point.
Mm-hmm.
$14,000 a year? That's fucking low.
Yeah.
It's like $30,000 on average.
Yeah, I mean, that's less than these people bilk on average from the government.
I mean, I just rewatched Escape from New York, the John Carpenter film,
documentary,
and I know that like it's supposed to be a dystopia that we send all of the criminals to New York, but I was watching it and I'm like,
Well, some documentaries are a little dark and could be, considered dystopian.
And but also
maybe it's just the way it is.
But also, I'm like, maybe that's not such a bad idea.
The only problem with that is that when you look at Long Island, a lot of it's very productive farmland.
And these people are going to need to eat, so there you go.
So like I'm a big fan of let's find an island off the coast. We got a lot of them. There's got to be some place that we can throw these people.
We got places that we've bombed before, and I'm not talking about nukes. We got islands that are uninhabited because we beat the shit out of them with explosives.
No, that means they're nice and flat now. Nothing to worry about.
They're nice and flat within reason. You got about a 4-foot variation in height, kind of at random.
Well, yeah, but I mean that means that all your future infrastructure work's going to be easier.
Do a little bit of working.
It's like you don't have any hills to worry about. They've all been, kind of minimized.
Sure.
And you might have ready-made glass just to work with. It's just right there in the ground.
I was going to say, the sand is now finer and chunkier at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. See, you've got a lot of good building materials there. Been all pre-refined, Well,
if we're going to put them to work, we're not going to just put them out there with nothing. We can go ahead and build them.
That would be cruel. And we are not cruel people here.
So this is just basically waxed poetic about putting 2% of the population on an island.
Well, no. What we're doing is we're providing them with an opportunity to build an amazing future.
To be honest, when you do find out that like 2% of people cause 90% of the crimes, and 1% when you find out 1% of people cause 60% of the crimes, you're like, fucking take out that 1%. When you turn around, you got 2% causing 90% of the crimes. You're like, yeah. Now his thing is 2% of the population should just be in jail, and that's just the way it is. Like, it's kind of a bold way to go.
Now, to be fair, I think that the more humanitarian thing we could do here is reopen the asylums, and then the 1% that's got to go away has got to go away. But I'll tell you, the other 1%, there's probably a portion of them that could be helped by being looked after by people that care for them for the rest of their lives.
Well, yeah.
You know, in a safe place where they're safe and loved.
Are you suggesting that Sam needs a safe place?
I don't think Sam's dangerous.
Okay. Well, no. Max and I have talked about this like a lot on the Whitfield report that the insane asylums should possibly be reopened for schizos and whatnot. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was like a major psyop
that has ever happened to American mental health.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be real though. I mean, Jack Nicholson is kind of like if there is anyone who does need to be in a mental hospital, well, he would kind of be the guy.
Well, you got to consider the era that was made in too. There's a lot of wild stuff going on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, just as a by the by, because I gotta mention this, or I will forget, and I can't let that happen. Also, we are going to be losing our man Craig here. He's got to go shortly, so been a pleasure on that. If you got to jet out of here, but jmail.world.
He suffers from a real serious condition called pussyitis.
It's familiaritis actually. Not yet.
Pussyitis. It strikes you deep and hard.
There you go. But if you'd like to go,
actually, I should probably also get going. I gotta act as manager tomorrow. So,
well, you guys will want to hear about this one before you go because it's fun. So you can just when you're done with the show, you can peruse on there. Jmail.world, and what it is the entire archive of JEE vacation at gmail.com. Now, if that username sounds at all familiar, then you've been following certain files that certain folks have demanded be released. And if you'd like to read over every single email that Jeffrey Epstein has sent and received, well, enjoy. It's all right there. It's a fun read. I've actually had a little bit of a look over it. They cloned the whole user interface and everything, so you get the whole experience. You can even search through them and everything. It's just like you're on Gmail. And there is
Gmail search fucking blows.
Yes, true, but it emulates the experience. So you can go in there and see stuff about Hillary or whatever, all sorts of fun stuff.
Interesting.
Quite interesting. But well, hell, I guess if you fellas are gonna log off.
Yeah, it's I think it's gonna be about pumpkin hour for the whole crew here.
Well, fair enough.
I'm good.
All right. Well,
I'm a bit of an
if you want to stay on
with a couple of good and happy tales with. But
I will be bowing out on my own right now. So, good show as always, and everyone have a fantastic Thanksgiving. We're seeing people
you too,
after
sir.
the holidays, and have a fantastic week.
Absolutely, to you as well. So you can find Craig Bob 99 at all the places. Were you wanting to do any kind of shout outs or anything before you bow out on us, Steve?
No, I'm actually good tonight. There's not much that's gone on this week. I am very glad that the Epstein files were voted on for release. As mentioned, that was a a huge loss of credibility for the Trump administration when they decided not to release them.
Mm-hmm.
And the best argument for him not being in the files was that the Biden administration didn't release them, and the worst argument for him being in the files is he didn't release them. So it's good that they've been voted on for release. I expect many shenanigans to ensue. I'm not in any way thinking that this is going to end positively. And I don't really care. At the end of the day, it'll be a very interesting thing. But that is the only thing that was of interest this week because it's the only public interest component.
Let me throw something real quick at you before you sign off because I don't know if you've heard, but in the order that went through, law, whatever that got signed, if Bondi redacts or removes anything, she has to put in a written declaration to Congress explaining specifically for every instance. And they're limited to 30 days that they can hold it by the law. So they can't, there's only so much fuckery they can do.
I mean, that's not true.
Only so much doesn't necessarily mean that there's a low limit on how much, just that there are.
There's a lot of
fuckery they can do. Yes, absolutely. But at least they put on some guardrails. They're wide guardrails, but hey, at least there are some.
I mean, it's really, really hard. It would be really, really hard to turn around and say just release everything. And to be honest, like the challenge that you have, so this is a pedophilia case, right? So simultaneously, you're stuck between two really, really shitty points. One, if you don't sit there and put out the files in their entirety, nobody's going to believe that their particularly pedophile of choice isn't in them.
And then you've got the whole swath of people that's going to never believe it no matter what. No, those are doctored. No, those were changed.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
Yeah.
So that's component one is you got the people who aren't going to believe it unless they find the person there, or they just will always believe that it's going to be doctored or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, him failing. Trump could have actually mitigated this if he demanded that they get released. And by the way, there's ways to have done like save face in the whole entire scenario, but the coming out in that press conference and being like, are you still talking about Epstein as if like nobody's been talking about him since 2019?
Right. It's like, bro, come on. Let's be real here.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I do kind of understand like where he's coming from.
Oh, I do too. I mean, I'll just tell you my thoughts on why he's been running it this way. I could be wrong. I'm totally open to being wrong, but just my gut feeling is he knows that he's got some people that really do well by him and have done him right and have never done him wrong and will continue to do him right that are in there that have done some fucked up shit. And he's a fairly loyal guy to the people that are close to him. And
I think there's a couple different possibilities. Or I think there's really two different possibilities. One, it turns out that Epstein was a pedophile and he was a solo pedophile, because it turns out that when you go commit crimes, it's a lot harder to commit crimes in a group than it is to commit crimes solo. That's option A, right? I think that we need to be cognizant that that's entirely possible. That the reason that they didn't have anything is that there's nobody else in there, not explicitly in that way. Those kinds of billionaires are going to pay for discretion. The idea that somebody videotaped them or whatever, like he would have probably been killed long before that, if he was doing something crazy. The second possibility is exactly what you said, is that there's so many powerful people that are tied into this thing that it becomes impossible to release the files because the political damage to anyone is unfathomable. And to that degree, what I've seen so far in terms of this whole thing, it looks like, especially with what the Democrats chose to release last week, that Trump and Epstein had a legitimate falling out. They legitimately hated each other.
Well, yeah, they.
Part... Good.
No, I was just gonna say like Trump famously told like Epstein to like get the fuck out of his out of Mar-a-Lago like back in the 90s supposedly.
Yeah, and that's become more and more demonstrable with what they released this week. The question is why, and the first point. So, and I think this is part of what might have gone on is Trump is a teetotaler, right? He seems to like having status and people recognize status around him, but I'm not entirely sure if he's a teetotaler and a germaphobe. I'm not entirely sure how far the sex stuff plays out for him. Because the only people who have sat there and really accused him being a weird sex freak are folks who have either an unprovable claim or have a legitimate grudge against him.
Well, and another interesting note on the Trump sex stuff is the only hard stuff we have on Trump's sex escapades is from Stormy Daniels, and it's pretty vanilla.
Yeah. I mean, I actually know one of the playmates who Trump had relations with too, and it was basically like there was nothing really spicy there,
It's like, yeah, he likes
whatsoever.
pretty girls.
Yeah,
and that's like he's an 80s dude. He's such an 80s dude.
Yep. And even then, like, we know that he's a germaphobe. We know he's a teetotaler. I'm not saying that he doesn't like have weird sex stuff or whatever, or some level of derogatory behavior, but that was pretty common. Like, he's straight boomer material. He's 80 years old now.
Yeah.
So that puts him as being coming of age sometime in the 60s. And so you're turning around and talking about a guy in his mid-20s who's coming of age at the same time everybody else in the 60s who's coming of age. All the yuppies are into sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And he's decided not to do rock and roll, but he may have a sex thing, which is not like sex is such a normal human component that to turn around and be like, oh, this guy's got a weird sex thing.
He's got a David Duchovny level sex thing where, he's got to have a different girl every third day. But,
Maybe.
Like, even then, that's not the, okay, well, it's not vanilla, but I mean, shit, that's just cinnamon.
That it's mild.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's mild. So like, the thing is that he's between a rock and a hard place with the Epstein thing, because if he kicked him out of the club because he found out that he's a fucking pedophile, which would exonerate him in those charges, it would not exonerate him in the court of public opinion, because why didn't he do something about it, right? Why didn't he report it? And so I think he's stuck between a rock and a hard place on this. If he did something, then obviously there's plenty of reasons to defend it. But if he didn't do something, then the question is, how much did he know and when did he know it?
I could answer the reason why he didn't do anything, because whenever Trump supposedly kicked Epstein, out of the thing, it without any like actual evidence, right? It would have been Trump saying, "Hey, this guy's, a pedophile," and I don't, and then it's like, well, where's the proof? Like that's the whole. That was one of the whole things with like Weinstein, too, is everyone knew, but no one had really had like any, physical proof other than.
Yeah, exactly. It was like up until those two kids escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement and then had all the crazy stories that everything was confirmed.
Right. So
look that one up, by the way. Not joking.
Yeah, that's a real shame too, because like,
yeah, and that one got memory hold too.
Yeah. Well, that one's a real shame because like there are Kevin Spacey movies that I love, but it's like ever since like I can't watch like L.A. Confidential or Seven the same way again. So
Or better yet, watch
it's
him be a
like,
conniving politician and just like, man,
oh
boy, that role
yeah,
is, boy, that's a good role. Boy, that's a good role.
yeah.
Suited.
Well, he was basically playing. I mean, let's be serious. He was playing the Clintons in House of Cards.
Mm-hmm. And a good choice for that role. Good choice. Very
Oh
strong casting.
yeah.
Very strong. But anyhow, we should probably let our man Steve get some rest here. So, brother, you have a
It is
good
time for me to
evening
be.
and a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, sir. And
Have a good night, boys.
with that,
Thanks.
let's throw in some good news to close out the night. I imagine you've probably heard about this one, but or maybe you haven't. Have you seen the leaked plans on the Ukraine-Russia ceasefire?
No. Well,
Okay,
no.
well then I'll just
No,
go
I
right on
haven't.
over it. So this is being received fairly well by people in Zelensky's orbit, and it's being pushed very aggressively by everyone on our side of this. So this has a lot of potential. Anyway, so on the territories, Crimea, Donetsk, and Luhansk are just sorry, those are Russian now. Kherson and Zaporizhia will become something like a neutral zone, and they're just gonna like kind of cut it down the line, as it were. So like, here's the lines, here's the lines. Everybody go back home. That we're just gonna leave it there. Also, on that note, the Zaporizhia power plant will be supplying power to both Russia and Ukraine under this. Some territories will become demilitarized buffer zones, as said. They'll be under Russian control, but will remain like shit. I can't remember the term, but they'll be like places kind of like how Transnistria is on the west of Ukraine with Russia or with Romania.
DMZs basically.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. That is exactly the term I was looking for. Yes, demilitarized zones. Both sides will commit to not change any of the borders by force, which means that theoretically it would be open to votes on either side. But, well, that's a whole other long story. Anyway, the military agreement there is no NATO in Ukraine. NATO fighter jets will remain as they are, stationed in Poland. A security dialogue will be established between U.S., NATO, and Russia, including the creation of a U.S.-Russia working group. Russia will legally enshrine a policy of non-aggression towards Ukraine and the European Union. Then the economic side of things. This is where things get very interesting. The U.S. and Europe will launch a major investment package for Ukraine. $100 billion of frozen Ukraine assets will be allocated to the reconstruction of Ukraine, which, yes, a little annoying, but we have to remember that, I should say, a little annoying from a Russian point of view. So, from that, yes, a little bothersome, say, if you're a Russian, but Russia's done quite well despite the sanctions. So, a small wound to heal a bigger one, as it were. And on top of that, the U.S. will be receiving 50% of the profits off of that. Europe will be contributing an additional $100 billion. Other frozen Russian assets will join a joint U.S.-Russia project fund, and a Ukraine development fund will be created that will support infrastructure, resource, technology development. And then for Russia, sanctions will be lifted in stages. They will be returned to the G8. That Russia-U.S. cooperation I was talking about, there will be a long-term U.S.-Russia economic cooperation in energy and in all fields, actually. But as said earlier, the Zaporizhia power plant will be operated under IAEA supervision directly with a 50-50 share. And the U.S. will be assisting in rebuilding Ukraine's gas infrastructure, which will be honestly, just a big moneymaker for us because their gas infrastructure has been decimated. So that'll be helpful. On top of that, as it stands, if it's this agreement is supposed to be legally binding, oversights to be carried out by a peace council led by Donald Trump and I think a couple of other international leaders. Violations would result in sanctions on both sides on signing. An immediate ceasefire is enacted, and forces withdraw to their battle lines. That's in brief. There's a little bit more. I'll throw a link to it, but that's basically everything there, and that's pretty promising. That's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, that all sounds reasonable. I mean, look, my whole thing with Russia and Ukraine, from what I understand, is Zelensky basically wants Putin to step down, and that's not going to happen. And even if it were, the thing it is like Putin's not a great guy, but neither is the rest of the Russian oligarchy. So he might not be great, but it might be a case of
you're not going to do better.
Right. It might be. Yeah. It might be. Well, it might even be a case of like Saddam, where it's like,
oh yeah, you could do worse. You could do a lot worse.
Yeah, and that's something that like Zelensky might not have considered. So I'm hoping that he does. I'm hoping that he does take this deal, because I mean, I think at this point, I mean, everything you read seems reasonable, but it's not going to matter if he keeps saying, "Oh, well, I just want Putin to step down or die," or something like that. So
we will have all the returned to us. All the territories will be returned to lines of Novorossiya days, and we will be capital of Russia. Like, motherfucker, just go play a piano with your cock, please. Just do something you're good at. Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So, in other good news, I'm sure you heard about this one, but we got Marco Rubio that's basically surprised us all. Yeah, I mean, I expect him to surprise us all again if he gets in a position of greater power, but who knows? Who knows? Anyway, he's just gone out and said, "Hey, mass migration, everybody, if you're in on this, we're going to have to think about our relationships on the international stage with you." And let me see here. I'll get his exact quote because it's great. Like, surprisingly reasonable and what would you say? Like, evocative of the forefathers. So anyway, U.S. officials will now scrutinize policies in Western nations that give leniency to migrant crime and human rights abuses, or that create two-tiered systems that prioritize migrants at the expense of their own citizens. In the United Kingdom, thousands of girls have been victimized in Rotherham, Oxford, and Newcastle by grooming gangs involving migrant men. Many girls were left to suffer unspeakable abuses for years before authorities stepped in. Yeah, this is long needed to be said and handled, because it could be argued that there is a genocide being enacted on a people in the West, and that it is being glossed over, and it's a very reasonable argument to make.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying earlier when I came on with Craig and the whole CARE making up the Islamophobia thing. Is people in the UK were bringing that up like 15 years ago, and the immediate thing is, oh, even suggesting that is Islamophobic, and it's making innocent Muslims feel unsafe, and how dare you? So hopefully that tactic isn't working anymore, and yeah, glad to see people waking up if that's the case.
One can be hopeful. It is nothing wrong with that. Hope is a good thing to have. Just don't let yourself get overburdened with it. Like, don't put too much of your hope in AI, for instance, especially if you're Microsoft and you have, this operating system called Windows 11. So,
oh dear God, yeah.
Yeah, so every rollout makes things worse and worse and worse with every new update because they did all this AI code switchover, and they're moving all their call centers and IT centers and everything over to India, where things become much more complicated. Much, much more complicated.
Sir, do you have a halogen lamp?
I will not redeem the halogen lamp. I will not. Oh me, oh my. Well, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So anyway, let's roll out a couple of good news stories for the end of the day. So, I'll check that in a minute. Anyway, we've got a science experiment from the science experiment. What the hell am I talking about? Out of the Journal of Nutrition. There's something that's gone unnoticed for some while that people are just kind of catching on to. But this is a study from 2012 that women, when mildly dehydrated, can have an incredible effect on their moods. So, ladies, if you're listening, remember to stay hydrated. You'll feel better. But no bullshit. Here's just a real quick rundown. Anger and hostility can be up by increased by up to 8%. 17% increase in fatigue, a 12% reduction in vigor, a 19% mood disturbance frequency, 58% increase in difficulty of perceiving tasks, a 45% reduction in concentration, and a 2 times increase in headaches. So, stay hydrated out there. Same goes for guys, too, because the headaches thing, that'll totally hit you as a guy, too, just flat out.
Oh yeah, and they say men are thirsty.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. There you go. So drink up, ladies. Just remember, you gotta stay hydrated. It's good for you. All right. What else did I have here? Because I know I've actually got a couple of other decent ones. We did the Gmail thing. Definitely check that out. Give it a bookmark. It's always just a fun one to hop in there and see what Jeff was talking with various incredibly important people around the world about. Beyond that, also, remember that... I don't remember nothing. I haven't even spoken about it yet. Okay, so Blondie has been uncooperative, kind of in general, but specifically in regards to geo actions, suppressor laws, and... gutting the NFA. So just call your representatives, tell them to get on their ass and to have Miss Blondie to stop fucking around with the DOJ and just let things happen so that we can fix these fuck-ups that were never meant to happen in the first place. Oh, and as an addendum to the Microsoft thing, right now, the current... I wouldn't say leaks, I guess I should say rumors, is that the current code base of Windows, everything new, is at least 30% AI generated. Make of that what you will, but that's what the rumor mill's saying. No,
Well, supposedly so is COD 7, so...
Well,
not...
at least some of the assets, that one you can actually verify. With your own eyes.
Yeah.
But also, on the note of AI, let me get the link here. Well, actually, I'll describe the process for everybody, and then I'll just throw a link to a Twitter post that'll have everything you need. But if you use Gmail, they have, for the longest time, been able to read your emails and attachments, and anything, by the way. Images, video, text, PDF, DOC, XDoc, XLS, whatever. Doesn't matter. What you're going to want to do is go into your settings and look for smart features in Google Workspace. You'll want to first turn that off. Then you will also want to scroll down a bit and turn off your smart features in other Google products and save. So do make sure and do that. If you're using Gmail, I mean, I won't lie. I've got one for the Fake Guy Dan account, but all it gets is exactly what I intend, and not one other thing. So there's not really anything to learn when you have a curated feed. So that's the other one. You can always just curate your own feeds and make sure that the information you're giving big data is only what you want them to get. And a quick note on that for both for you, Sam, and for all the ones listening. Startpage.com. If you have to use Google search, because it does have its benefits, great for shopping. Startpage.com will do that search for you and give you the results free of any tracking. So there you go. Enjoy.
I tried as Startpage improved because I tried them like 10 or 15 years ago. And
yeah. You get direct Google results without the Google AI thing, Gemini stuff at the top. You just get the results you would get. Now, yes, stuff is buried. You'll have to scroll down a little bit, but you will get the results you would get directly from Google as a virgin anonymous user.
Yeah, well that's nice because I remember using them like a decade ago, and like, man, they just like, even scrolling down, like, I just wasn't even getting like even decent
Yeah, it's
results.
Very solid. I will say their image results aren't as good as going directly to Google, but they're pretty okay. And they also load the image results fully anonymously as well, with the option to also load the page anonymously. So it's a handy tool. Like, if you want to use some of Google's tools, there are safe ways to do so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, not all, obviously, but it is what it is. So you can be thoughtful and do things in the most thoughtful of ways if you're going to be doing this. So what's the other one? We should probably talk about this stupid idea of the new tunnel, because the tunnel worked so well, and they were able to pull that off so quickly and easily. So there's some sort of completely unreasonable talk of a 3,400-mile underwater tunnel that's going to cost $20 trillion and go from London to New York City. No. That is silly. But the thought is you could do this. You could have an underground high-speed rail get from London to NYC in an hour. I mean, I don't know if I want two of the biggest shitholes in the world connected. Do you?
Yeah, I mean,
that's almost like a human centipede on the Earth.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on that, and also, like, unless Elon's doing that, like, I'm not so sure that like it would even get done properly. And then, like, how much would tickets cost? Because that feels like something that like the elites would use to, like, travel back and forth, while the rest of us plebs were like forced to just like travel above ground or something.
Commingle on a flight. Oh, here's one that you may not have heard. They're bringing back the Concorde.
Oh?
Yes, sir. They're going to put it back in the air. Obviously, it's going to need a fair amount of refurbishment since I think it was retired in like 05 or 07. But they're going to bring it back. And as a matter of fact, there's at least 2 other companies that are working on new supersonic jets.
Huh.
So
that would.
So we've got a little bit of that return energy kind of going. And now that I approve of, because when you see something like that, that's just hopeful. And it makes you think, damn, we can do that.
Yeah. Well, supposedly Tesla is going to be like unveiling a flying car, like either at the end of this year or the beginning of next.
Yeah, Elon has said that the Roadster might just fly. And I'm here for it. We need people doing crazy, dumb shit. We absolutely need more crazy, awesome, dumb shit. And that is crazy. That is as crazy and as awesome and as dumb as you can fucking get. Because we should have had flying cars 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, I mean, Blade Runner, had flying cars, and that was like what back in
Yeah, it's like
that
we got all the awful gay shit from the cyberpunk dystopia, none of the cool stuff.
Yeah, it really is true. It also, I remember thinking, because Blade Runner takes place in 2019, and supposedly like that was when the big like dystopian event happened. And then when 2020 happened, I was like, oh, Ridley Scott was off by 1 year. It was actually in 2020 when things turned to shit. So
funny old world.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That it is. Okay, so let me see here. What have I got? No, that's terrible bad news. That's also terrible bad news. So if you're in the EU, go ahead and make sure you got just to skip over the bad news, make sure you got your VPN well set up if you're in the European Union, is all I'm going to say on that one. Because, yeah, you should know full, and well. So beyond that, here's a fun little bit of news. At Euranon Central, which everyone should recognize as the well-known anonymous account, is gone. Not long after things were revealed as far as where they might be posting these days. Funny that. Also funny, and in a completely California way, a man who gave up American secrets to a Chinese spy, a honeypot trap, as we all know, Mr. Swallowswell, will be running for California governor, I guess to replace Gavin when he steps down to try and run for president or whatever. I tell you, that place is a clown shoes state.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
And I mean, God bless them. I do have friends in California, but they're always like, we can save California, and it's like,
you
yeah,
can,
no.
But I don't know if you can do it by voting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not a happy thought. But, hey, surf's up. On that, we've got an update from Candace. Not good or bad. Just apparently there are people after her. And there have been some tertiary confirmations that maybe there actually are people after her. I'll come back with an update if there is one. But everything's very weird with Candace in France right now.
Yeah, I actually got like 3 texts about that today, and I mean, here's the problem is, even if she is telling the truth, she's also said so much just
she's got a lot of
like
baggage.
Yeah. I mean, look, apparently now we're supposed to believe that like people who were wearing red shirts at the Turning Point event were somehow involved because there's like some paramilitary group that also happens to wear red shirts. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, she's made some good points. She's asked some great questions. She was one of the first people to leak that Charlie was actually losing respect for Israel, and then that was confirmed to be true. But she's also put out a lot of really wild shit. And I mean, let's be completely honest. The way she came onto the scene was with basically a doxing app.
Yeah.
So
and
she's got some baggage. Let's be real.
Yeah, and I actually, not to wade too far back into the whole. I mean, I'm sure you guys have covered that ad nauseum as much as I have. From what I've heard from people inside Turning Point, Charlie's kind of, I guess, turn against Israel, if you want to put it that way, was more of, hey, I'm still pro-Israel, but maybe Bibi ought to, step down from power. And give someone else,
I think it would be
a
cool
chance.
if one of the founders of Hamas was not a leader in Israel, personally.
Yeah, yeah. But it wasn't. It wasn't
But that's
like the
me.
whole.
That's just me.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the Groiper, fan fiction where Charlie's all of a sudden jaywalk or something. That wasn't. That was never a thing.
No,
So
he's probably Charlie seemed like a very reasonable man that was raised in a tradition that many of us were.
yeah, he was when I only met him one time via Skype, but when I met him, he was, if anything, he was shy. Um, but he was 20 and I was 18 at the time, so uh, he wasn't unknown then. He wasn't the powerhouse that he was in later years. So,
Well, as you progress, well, there there is something to it. The guy was a little bit concerned that if he spoke ill of some of the things some of his donors support, that things could get weird, and well, they did. And we don't know what more there is to it than that, and we unfortunately probably never will, because if there is something there, there are highly, highly moneyed individuals that will do everything in their power to keep that in the same kind of vein as JFK. So
yeah.
look all you want, ask all the questions you want, do what you can to, not look crazy asking them. But at the end of the day, just understand that, man, I hate to say it, but some of this shit is just kind of over our heads. Now, how you handle that is on you, and don't go out here being Johnny Lone Wolf or anything. Just remember that the world is a complicated place. Is one thing I'll say. And on that, we've got an interesting thing here. I kind of wanted to share this while the guys were here, but you'll be interested in this one. So, you remember the talk on ivermectin, fenbendazole, mebendazole, all these things that are like supposed to, these anti-parasite medicines, how are they doing all these things? How are they working? They're not even supposed to. It's horse paste, etc. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've had, since that time, obviously, we've had people looking into it because we found out that these pre-existing medicines actually were able to treat some of these ailments, and in fact, look to be able to treat rather a few, and some that we hadn't accounted for. So this has all just been like crazy. Like, well, yeah, okay, sure, maybe it does, but that doesn't make any sense. Well, they've actually been working on it. And there's a bit of an understanding why these things work. I really wanted Steve to be around for this because he'd been super interested. So, mebendazole and fenbendazole, I'll just quote from the guy. He did a deep dive on it and said, why do parasite medications work against cancer cells? It turns out that the parasite uses mitochondrial substrate level phosphorylation in the tissue, and mebendazole, fenbendazole kill the parasites. So it turns the cancer cell, as he tried it on the cancer cell, and sure as hell, it targets the mitochondrial substrate and glycosis. So what it does is it kind of makes your body see these foreign cells as foreign cells and not your own. To put it in, that's not the best explanation, but that's the explanation I can give that's going to make the most sense to the most people.
Yeah.
So what it kind of allows your body to target cancer how it ought to. If that's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. I took like a combo because I got COVID twice. The first time wasn't real bad, but the second time I was pretty sick. And my doctor actually gave me both like antivirals and ivermectin. And from what I understand, the antiviral that I was given basically like penetrated the shell of the COVID virus and basically destroyed the virus from the inside out, basically, which is not what the vaccine did. interestingly enough. So,
indeed,
make of that what you will.
All right, so in we do like to close the show with good news. I've got two more. So we've got this one, the Granite Act, which is out of Wyoming. That was filed, I believe, yesterday. No, a few days ago. Filed on the 19th. The Granite Act, which is the Guaranteeing Rights Against Novel International Tyranny and Extortion, will provide a legal mechanism for Americans to take foreign government agencies to court in the U.S. when those agencies attempt to interfere and infringe upon protected speech within the United States. An example given would be, say the United Kingdom threatens someone in the U.S. for their speech. You can't do that, and I'm going to sue you because my company's here in the U.S. and we have U.S. holdings in the U.K., and so you're going to need to pay for these defamatory, whatever the fuck. I don't know the specifics of it. I'll throw a link here to the thing, but it goes over the whole act. But it would quite stymie places like the UK, and God, I love to see it. That's the best stuff ever. They've really got it coming. So, just reading from here, a Wyoming resident, any natural person physically present in Wyoming when threatened or targeted, Wyoming entity, or any United States person or entity whose protected expression or associated originates from or is hosted on the servers physically located in Wyoming. Anything that touched Wyoming by way of America will go to Wyoming. And if you're not familiar, Wyoming is about as red can be from top to bottom, including the courts. So, so that would be a grand time. A truly, truly grand time. All right, so like I said, I've got one more. Let me hop over here. And yeah, Trump does a lot of dumb stuff. He makes a lot of missteps, but we got to take the good with the bad, and there is oftentimes good. So we've got a guy that has been recommended to head the ATF, and there's the numbers to get him confirmed. And the ATF has gone without an actual confirmed director for quite some while. So this fella, by the name, let me see here, what's this guy's name? It's Robert Cicada, which that might actually sound familiar to some folks because he's had commentary. He's been interviewed in a few places. He's one of those legit ATF dudes. Now, should the ATF exist? No. But the guy's been at the ATF for 20 years, and he's a reasonable dude. Like, a genuinely reasonable dude. He wants to use the ATF for the purpose that it was created for, not the one it has been used for most of our lives. And, well, that'd actually be pretty nice. So, a quote here by way of Alan Gottlieb is, he brings considerable experience along with what we believe are truly pro-Second Amendment views, which would be a delightful change from the previous administration. And, yeah, he's been there for 20 years. He's an actual agent. The guy knows his shit. That would be such a change of pace. The last time we had something like this was unfortunately a many-year veteran, but that was, well, he has a bit of a pedigree the last time they tried to get a 20-plus year veteran. That guy, you know, he was kind of standing in front of a pile of burned children's corpses in Waco, Texas. So we were speaking about baggage earlier. Well, he had a little bit of baggage. This fella, he's carry on at most. You know, not a bag full of burned corpses. So definitely a preferable choice. You know, that's what I think.
Janet Reno.
Right. Reno smash. Right. But yes, indeed. So with that, I think I've covered all the high points I was wanting to hit. I mean, we could go for like 3 more hours. I got a total load of stories, but we just don't have the time. So, Sam, thanks for stopping by. Been a pleasure.
Oh, thanks for having me. I did drop the trigonometry Hassan interview in the general. I'm sure you can include that in the show notes.
That'll be down at the bottom. Absolutely.
It is. I've seen a few clips. it is just from the few snippets I've seen, it is hilarious to watch him go, yeah, communism would absolutely work here. They're both just stunned. They would actually say the quiet part aloud.
Well, I
So,
mean, it can. You can't really go past about 100 individuals, and you have to all be committed to the task, and you have to do it under the umbrella of capitalism. But yes, sure, in those cases, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
utopians. But anyway, was there anything you wanted to shout out there, Sam, before I call it a night?
Just, thanks for having me on. Also, subscribe to the Whitfield Report on YouTube. I did get unbanned there, so
Woo.
that's great. Thanks to Speaker Johnson for basically telling YouTube that hey, they need to start reinstating channels. Otherwise, you guys are going to be facing antitrust, uh,
Gonna have to answer some questions.
stuff. So, yeah. So my channel is back up on YouTube, also still on Rumble and whatnot as well. But just thanks for having me on, and for people listening, throw Evan some money as well because he deserves it. So,
Well, thank you, sir. I would. Anything that comes into this show gets put back into the show. That's just the way it works. At least until this thing's running good. Until then, well, we'll just keep putting out the good content because that's what the folks deserve.
Well, I think you put it best last week. You're a big fish in a smaller pond, and I'm kind of in the same boat as you are in that sense. So yeah. But thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate
Where
it.
can the folks find you?
You can, like I said, you can follow me on YouTube at the Whitfield Report, and also on Twitter at @SomeW_NGC. And I did check my profiles, make sure that it was in fact located in the U.S. and by God, it is. So
there you go.
Yeah.
American by birth and choice, by crikey. Well,
yep.
Been a pleasure, everybody. You know where you can find me. I'm Evan at that fake guy Dan at no, not all the places because I don't exist on robot lizard platforms, but you can find me most places at that. So, been a pleasure, everybody. Make sure and share the show around. Leave a like, leave a comment, share it with everybody. Share it twice, share it 3 times, share it 17 times. We've actually grown pretty well this year, and well, it's because good folks listening, tuning in, and making sure that the right ears find this content. So thank you.